Look at me.
You're rocking the Beano cut.
Rocking the sign.
Hashtag Beano cut.
Beano cut. You've got no shoes on.
Rearrange the whole game with my rugged sound. Won't even say your own name when I come around. Stay on top but remain from the underground. To the Z and we all in the family.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk Nerdy to Me. I'm Jay.
I'm Chris, and today we're going to be talking about the new X-Men film, X-Men Apocalypse. We're going to be talking a lot of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film, then turn off now. If you have, then come and hang out and we'll chat about it. This is literally, we've just been to the cinema to see it, and we haven't spoke about it together yet.
No.
So, what did you think of it?
Well, I want to point out right now that initially, like since trailer 1 and even some initial images,
Yeah.
I have not had any hopes for this film.
Yeah.
Was not really looking forward to it. X-Men era is a funny one. It is a funny one. It's been so consistently inconsistent.
You're not a mad fan of the comic books either when it
Not
comes to
until
X-Men.
not until recently I got into X-Men '92
Like
and
Wolverine.
Wolverine. And this film is good. I actually liked it. It entertained me. It was a proper comic book film.
I liked it.
Hmm?
I thought it was good.
Considering all the reviews,
Rotten Tomatoes score is very unfair. I think it's a good film.
I think it's a good film. I would say my main thing about it would be I think the third act lets it down.
I actually really enjoyed the end of it. I found it was a bit of a stuttering start, in my opinion. As a whole, I enjoyed the film. I had fun with it.
Alright, well let's
I thought it was cool.
Well, let's get into it then. Like you say, stuttering start, but come on. I mean, it has a great way to introduce Apocalypse himself without it being too much of an elongated origin story. Then had a great way to introduce all the new characters again without spanning it out.
Yeah.
I got an idea of who they were like. It didn't feel like, oh my god, there's too much going on here.
I don't know. I disagree there because, like, you see, I like this film for many things, but it was a weird one because there was like many things that I didn't like about it. Like, really didn't like about it. I was watching it and going, awesome, I'm loving this, and then did something happen. I'd be like, oh, that's a bit shit. That don't really like that. Like, so the whole time I had this in a turmoil of kind of like, do I like this film? Do I not? But I came out of it thinking, yeah, I did like it, but I did have a lot of issues with this film.
See, I didn't have as many as I thought.
I didn't like the introduction to a lot of characters. I didn't like the way that a lot of the characters looked.
I liked how they paid so much of an homage to the 80s with their looks. I like the way that Nightcrawler looked like the Thriller video.
I
like the way
hated
that.
that.
I like the way that Scott Summers looked like Marty McFly. I loved all of that. I thought it was a really nice homage. It made me feel like, okay, I'm watching a comic book film set in the 80s. Just let loose and just have a bit of a good time.
Storm's Mohawk was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really didn't like Nightcrawler. I didn't really like Cyclops either. I didn't like Archangel or Angel, whoever the fuck he was. Storm was okay. Psylocke was cool. I like Psylocke. I really like Jean Grey.
She had the pointy shouldered jacket that all was real fashion in the 80s. I like the accented feel. I really felt like I was in the era. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a piece. It's a period piece. It's an 80s piece.
It was almost like an 80s bar.
It was well done. It was well done, I'll give you that. And I just didn't see that version of the X-Men that I wanted on screen.
Okay.
Which brings me to my biggest issue with the film, and that's Apocalypse himself. I really didn't like him. First time we've seen Apocalypse, he's a huge character in the books. He's a really great character in the books, and he was nowhere near
I
what
agree.
I wanted.
This was why I was scared initially going into it.
It was like Ivan Ooze. There wasn't, and that one scene where we see him grow, that was very misleading because in the trailers you saw that, didn't you? And we thought, oh, it means that he grows bigger in the film, but that was like a dream sequence thing.
I knew that would be a dream
so
sequence.
So that pissed me off.
I didn't think it would grow. I thought that.
But yeah, as a character, Apocalypse, I just wasn't feeling it. I
liked his voice. I liked the voice.
Was alright.
Where it would go into this horrible kind of almost like Dalek kind of like.
He just almost looked a bit stupid. Like there was
there was moments where he actually looked friendly.
Derp scenes.
Yeah,
like in the face. It was like a close up of his face, and he was just like.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
This isn't
a
Apocalypse.
A derpalypse.
It wasn't Apocalypse. It was a derpalypse. He wasn't scary at all. At no point I think he's a scary villain. In the comics, like he's a real ominous, powerful, big, imposing, scary character. But in this film,
he was scary as Ultron.
Slightly creepy.
He's as scary as Ultron.
More old Greg creepy than actually, you know, like scary.
Look at my X-Man John.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I mean, it was fine. Don't get me wrong. Like I watched it and I still enjoyed the film, but I didn't like Apocalypse. Another one of the things that I disliked about this film was it kind of felt a little bit disjointed at times with the scenes and the plots and the stories. It wasn't as bad as Batman v Superman. It wasn't.
Maybe I'm coming off the
It
back
wasn't
of that,
completely incoherent at all. At least 2 or 3 times when I'd forgotten about that story, and then it came back to it ages later, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I've forgotten about the storyline." But it's been a long period of time since we've seen that.
No?
Like for example, when Mystique rescued Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Right. And she rescued him and took him out, and then we cut to another scene, another storyline going on, which went on for a significant time, and then we went back to them, and I was like, oh shit, I almost forgot about that. Like a huge period of time had passed since then, and yet they were still stood in exactly the same place, and I was like, it doesn't flow very well.
I'm going to disagree right there. I thought it really flowed very well. That's why I had such a good time watching it. I enjoyed all of it. Issues I had was actual parts of the storyline. So in the third act, like you said, when they're speaking at the and it's around his magnetic shield, I wanted to know why when they get there she goes all whiny when it made more sense for him to have an epiphany because he finds out he has a son. Quicksilver's arc is almost then pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
Then also, I didn't understand, when hearing her speak, I thought it was a really weak speech. I don't know why I'd go for that. Yeah. It kind of made Magneto's arc pointless because I thought I knew where it was going. Yeah. And then the only other problem I had, it sounds like I had a problem with Quicksilver, but I didn't, was the actual Quicksilver scene.
I really like that scene.
It was too silly.
I could watch Quicksilver all day doing this stuff like that. I think
it's too quick.
I think it's really clever. You know, okay, it got really silly with the dog and the pizza and all that business, but I enjoyed it. It was fun, that scene.
But that third act kind of took away from everything that had been built up. But for you, it's different because nothing had been built up. It was a bit disjointed.
Saying that though, I completely see where you're coming from the third act with the storyline, because now you mentioned that could have gone a completely different way, and that could have made that film a lot stronger if that sort of emotional side was brought out to it. You know, that happened in Days of Future Past.
Well, let's think about what has come at the end of this film now. What's changed for the X-Men? What's changed? They've now got a few more X-Men, and that's it.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I really liked about the end, actually. The end was great for me, because apart from that part where you said you didn't like the story, which I agree with, the bit that I loved about the end of the film was the fight sequence, the action. I thought throughout the film, the special effects, most of them were done really well. And the fight scenes were fantastic. And then of course when we get to the very end and they're all in their new costumes and they're in the danger room, and the Sentinels come out, I was like, this is dope, man. Like,
and he's bald and everything.
Yeah, like this is the comic. I love the costumes.
Yeah.
Great. Like they all looked awesome. So that got me pumped then. And then I was thinking, actually, you know, it's kind of saved it for me now at the end.
I actually want to talk about Wolverine. I liked the fact that Wolverine was in this. I actually didn't know how they were going to put him in. I thought it was going to be horribly shoehorned in.
That was one of the best scenes in the film. I thought it was very Daredevil-esque, that corridor fighting scene. But what was so great about having Wolverine and the context in which they used him, he was brutal when he was fighting. You saw him slashing people's throats and cutting people open with his claws. So that scene was awesome. I like that. That was one of the best parts.
What about Scott Summers? I think he was given a bit the attitude that he needed.
Yeah, he was okay. I mean, he didn't blow me away. I've got to say, the old Scott Summers is the Scott Summers that I imagine when I'm reading the books.
Really? Because when you read the books, he's a bit more gung-ho, isn't he?
This guy just seemed, I don't know, he just seemed like he had a bit of an attitude problem. Magneto was great, as he always is.
Like I said...
That actor...
oh, God,
what's his
I
name?
feel bad for...
Michael Fassbender.
He
really puts on a performance, doesn't it? I mean, that scene with his family and that was fantastic. Michael Fassbender as an actor just nails it every time. It's fantastic.
He gets the character Magneto.
Yeah, I thought we were getting Scarlet Witch for a minute then, I was like, holy crap,
Oh yeah,
his
yeah,
daughter.
yeah.
And then she was like controlling the birds and stuff, getting them to attack the police officers. And then her eyes sort of changed, and I was like, fuck, do they own Scarlet Witch? Like, what are we doing here? Are we going to get another Scarlet Witch now? And then she got an arrow right through her, and I was like, oh, they've had to kill her off.
Yeah. The chemistry between him and Xavier, which was again another standout performance.
James McAvoy is fantastic.
James McAvoy does a really good job of
Yeah.
playing a young Xavier.
Yeah.
I like how he was kind of like, there was even humour. He got a bit of humour, like where he
The
kind of
tree
fancies the girl.
Yeah.
And like he says, I've been checking her out. I mean, checking in on her.
I thought half of the jokes really fell flat.
Did you?
Yeah, like,
Is this because you've got a
half
sense
of
of humour?
dude, I love funny in my comic book films, but half of them I thought were shit jokes.
God.
Did you think they were all on point? Yeah.
I had a laugh.
You know what? Maybe I was in a bad mood because people were crunching their crisps and I was pissed off. One of my favourite things about the film, Jean Grey, I thought she was fantastic. I've never seen this actress before. Apparently she's in Game of Thrones or something. I think. Where they brought out the Phoenix at the end
Phoenix,
there. When you saw it, I was like, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. I thought her performance was fantastic. I like Psylocke as well. She was good.
I didn't like Psylocke.
She was quite hot though, so that was alright.
This brings me to a bit of an issue, right? So I'm going to talk about women in films, women in superhero films. In this particular film, let's go through them. So Mystique has been strong in the films, came off as being, I'm no hero, gives a bit of a wishy-washy speech, gets choked out. Psylocke, the only thing that I kept noticing was that it was almost like as the film went on, her costume got skimpier. They never explained her power, which was dead odd.
Yeah, but to be fair, man, there was a lot going on in this film.
Jean Grey, exception to the rule here, really played off well.
Did you like her as well?
Yeah, no, I did like it. Storm as well. Storm came across as just a bit of a, I didn't get a character, I don't know anything about Storm. I just don't think women were really portrayed well in this film at all.
I agree to an extent. Jean Grey was a very powerful character in this film. So
But it was almost like he pulled that in at the end to go like, oh actually, you know, this will make up for everything.
there was a lot going on in this film.
Yeah, there was.
A lot going on. We had so many characters thrown in there, and we didn't get the chance to
Know them?
know them all.
Emily is in this film. She's never introduced.
No.
Did she even have a line?
It's a real shame.
Did she actually have a line?
She had a line talking about Star Wars.
We're also doing a Wolverine film, so you need to put Wolverine in here. And I can imagine Bryan Singer sitting there going, no wonder trilogies are hard. At the end of the day, I walked out of that film thinking, I had fun, I enjoyed the movie. The third act let me down a bit, but not enough to ruin the film for me.
It's literally because I love the X-Men comics so much, and I've read a wide variety of all the different titles, so I've got my own version of them. At the end of Days of Future Past, when we saw these new X-Men, I was really excited, and it didn't live up to my expectations.
It didn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah.
Because my expectations were so low,
It
it actually completely surpassed them.
That's
I would rate it, I hate saying this because it sounds like such a cop-out, but I would give it 7 out of 10.
I'd rate it an 8, a very solid 8. I did enjoy it. I even toyed with giving it a 9 because I like watching it. It was fun, but I did have a few issues with it.
So a good way to summate this film is you should go and see it. Although there's just some scenes that are worth seeing, like Wolverine, Quicksilver, if you're into that.
What about the future for the X-Men cinematic universe? I think this is the end of the trilogy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a shame though, because that ending was quite strong, and I want to see more of those X-Men.
I think they're going to branch off into a different timeline.
Again?
Wolverine's going to die and is going to be replaced by X-23. I've predicted this for ages. It's a nice way to wrap up a trilogy that had to start off with such a terrible ending to the last one. If you like a good old-fashioned comic book movie without it being gritty, having to think too much about it.
It's still better than the entire first trilogy of X-Men.
Yeah, no.
It's well worth a watch.
Yeah, worth a watch.
Worth going to the cinema to see as well, definitely.
Yeah. I suppose that's it for now.
So join us next
time. What were we talking about? What comes up next time?
I don't know. We might do something on that.
Or Ghostbusters?
No, we won't do that.
We might be doing Ghostbusters. I'll pay if we get 500 likes.
There we go. Give us a like Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
I'll see you next time.
Keep talking early.